Are Israel and Iran on the brink of all-out war? This isn't just a question, it's a pressing concern that's echoing across the globe. Let's take a closer look. Tensions between Israel and Iran have always been on a razor's edge, but recent events have pushed this delicate balance towards a potentially explosive situation. We're talking about a precarious dance of power plays, from airstrikes that have rattled the quiet of the night to assassinations that have sparked outrage and calls for revenge. In southern Gaza, Israeli airstrikes resulted in the tragic loss of at least 21 Palestinian lives, including a journalist and his family. Then there's the confirmed killing of a senior Hamas commander in Lebanon. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts are in overdrive, with the United States, Egypt, and Qatar pushing for ceasefire talks. But it's not just about these individual incidents, it's about the bigger picture. The existential struggle between Israel and a coalition of adversaries seeking its destruction. The complex dynamics and motivations driving the actions of both sides. As we delve into the intricacies of this complex situation, it's crucial to understand the key players and their motivations. A critical factor in this situation is America's Iran policy. The United States has a long and complex history with Iran, a relationship that has oscillated between cooperation and conflict over the years. The approach of the Biden administration towards Iran has come under scrutiny in recent times, with critics arguing that it has led to increased instability within the Middle East. The policy has been characterized by efforts to restart negotiations around Iran's nuclear program and lessen the economic sanctions that were placed on the country by the previous administration. This approach, however, is seen by some as a form of appeasement, potentially emboldening Iran and its proxies to act more aggressively. In stark contrast, the Trump administration adopted a policy of maximum pressure towards Iran, which included pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal and imposing heavy economic sanctions. The administration's stance was praised for its deterrence measures, including its unwavering support for Israel. Yet, it's worth noting that both approaches have their merits and drawbacks. The Biden administration's policy aims at diplomacy and negotiation, intending to bring Iran back to compliance with the nuclear deal and to stabilize the region. On the other hand, the Trump administration's hardline stance aimed at curbing Iran's destabilizing activities in the region, but it also escalated tensions and led to a series of retaliatory attacks. The differing approaches of these two administrations underline the complexities of dealing with Iran. It's a delicate balancing act between maintaining regional stability, supporting allies, and preventing the proliferation of nuclear weapons. The calls for a stronger stance against Iran highlight the significance of international influence in regional conflicts. The role of the United States in the Middle East is not just about its relationship with Iran, but also about how its policies shape the dynamics of the region as a whole. This brings us to the question: what will the future of America's Iran policy look like, and how will it impact the brewing conflict between Israel and Iran? On the other hand, Israel's actions are escalating the situation. The Middle East, a region no stranger to conflict, finds itself teetering on the edge of a potentially larger war. The catalyst? Israel's assertive actions, including recent airstrikes and targeted assassinations. Notably, Israel's actions have been characterized by an aggressive approach in recent times. Airstrikes in southern Gaza have led to the unfortunate loss of lives, including that of a journalist and his family. The killing of a senior Hamas commander in Lebanon has added another layer of complexity to the situation. These actions are not just random occurrences but are seen as calculated efforts by Israel to restore its deterrent reputation. In a region where power is often measured through military might, deterrence is a crucial aspect of maintaining a balance. Israel's assertive actions could be interpreted as a bid to signal its strength and readiness to go to any length to protect its interests. However, the question remains whether this approach is sustainable, or will it only serve to escalate tensions further? The repercussions of these actions are already being felt. Diplomatic efforts have intensified in a bid to prevent a counter-retaliation from Iran and its proxies. Countries like the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are calling for ceasefire talks, hoping to settle disagreements and potentially pause the conflict. Yet, the situation remains precarious. Iran, along with its proxies, Hezbollah, are coordinating their response. While they remain cautious about escalating into a broader regional war, the threat of a potential retaliation hangs heavy in the air. This is not merely a conflict between two countries, it's a complex web of power dynamics, strategic calculations, and a struggle for dominance in a region fraught with historical tensions and rivalries. The actions of Israel, while aimed at restoring its deterrent reputation, have undeniably added fuel to the fire. Israel's assertive actions have undeniably intensified the situation, raising questions about their long-term impact. As the region braces itself for what might come next, one can only hope that wisdom prevails over aggression, leading to a path of dialogue and peaceful resolution. Iran's response to these developments is a vital component of this unfolding situation. The Islamic Republic, known for its shrewd political moves and strategic calculations, has been cautious in its immediate retaliation. This caution, however, should not be mistaken for passivity. Iran is acutely aware of the precariousness of the situation and is choosing its moves with the precision of a chess master. In this high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, Iran's proxies play an essential role. One of these key players is Hezbollah, the Lebanon-based militant group. Iran's relationship with Hezbollah is a complex one, characterized by mutual dependency and shared objectives. As tensions rise, Iran and Hezbollah are closely coordinating their responses. This coordination is a testament to the intricate network of alliances that Iran has cultivated over the years. The potential for escalation into a broader regional war is a palpable threat in this volatile environment. A single misstep or miscalculation could ignite a conflict that engulfs the entire Middle East. Iran, fully aware of this delicate balance, is treading carefully. Its leaders understand that an all-out war would have dire consequences not just for Iran, but for the entire region. However, this cautious approach should not be mistaken for a lack of resolve. Iran has repeatedly demonstrated its willingness to push back against perceived threats and assert its regional influence. Its current restraint is strategic, not symptomatic of fear or indecision. Iran is biding its time, waiting for the opportune moment to make its move. In the midst of all this, the international community is closely watching Iran's actions and reactions. The stakes are high, and every move Iran makes could tip the balance in this precarious situation. As the tension continues to mount, the world is holding its breath, waiting for Iran's next move. Iran's careful maneuvering underscores the volatile nature of this conflict and the high stakes involved. It's a delicate dance on the edge of a precipice, where a single misstep could trigger a regional conflagration. The question remains, will Iran take a step back from the brink, or will it choose to plunge the region into chaos? Only time will tell. This tension between Israel and Iran is part of a broader conflict. It's like a game of chess played across a map of the Middle East, with each move and countermove carrying the potential for catastrophic consequences. A complex web of alliances, enmities, and strategic calculations fuels this volatile situation. At the heart of it all, we find an existential struggle. On one side, Israel, a small yet potent nation surrounded by adversaries and determined to safeguard its existence. On the other side, a coalition of enemies spearheaded by Iran and bolstered by militant allies like Hezbollah and Hamas, who seem to be united by a common goal: the destruction of Israel. Israel's actions, from airstrikes to assassinations, are driven not just by a need for immediate security, but also by a desire to restore its deterrent reputation. It's a high-stakes strategy designed to keep its enemies at bay, by demonstrating that any aggression will be met with a swift and decisive response. The motivations driving Iran and its allies are equally complex. They range from ideological convictions to strategic considerations and even personal rivalries, the desire to avenge past wrongs, the ambition to assert dominance in the region, and the dream of reshaping the Middle East according to their own vision. All these factors contribute to their actions. This intricate dance of power and survival is not just about Israel and Iran. It involves global superpowers like the United States and regional players like Egypt and Qatar, all of whom are trying to navigate this geopolitical minefield while pursuing their own interests. In this high-stakes game of brinkmanship, miscalculations can have dire consequences. Each new attack, each retaliation, ratchets up the tension, bringing us one step closer to a broader conflict. This broader conflict presents a grim picture of a region on the brink, with the potential for a larger and more lethal war looming. The Middle East, once again, finds itself at the crossroads of history as the world watches on, holding its breath. As we've seen, the situation between Israel and Iran is complex and precarious. We've delved deep into the policies of the United States towards Iran, highlighting the contrasting approaches of the Biden and Trump administrations. We've also examined the aggressive actions of Israel, including their airstrikes in Gaza and the assassination of a senior Hamas figure in Lebanon. On the other side, we've unpacked Iran's cautious yet calculated response, and the role its proxies play in this intricate dance of power. The broader conflict, an existential struggle between Israel and an opposing coalition, is a high-stakes game where the pieces are constantly moving. Understanding the motivations and actions of both sides is crucial to making sense of this volatile situation. As we're speaking, diplomatic efforts are intensifying with countries like the US, Egypt and Qatar calling for ceasefire talks. These are tense times and the stakes couldn't be higher. With diplomatic efforts underway and tensions high, the world watches on hoping for a peaceful resolution. The question remains, are Israel and Iran on the brink of all-out war?